I'm just going to say, starting off here, that even mentioning church and brand in the same sentence is probably going to make some folks feel a little uncomfortable. Or maybe I should say really uncomfortable. Why is this? Well, to start off, let me tell you a story. In case you were wondering, house maintenance really isn't my strong suit, and a while ago I forgot to plug up a hole into the basement of our house. You'd think my penalty would be a nice little mouse, or maybe even a few mosquitoes. Nope. I'll never forget walking down the basement steps, and there against the wall was a huge snake. And I'm just going to say, there are two things in life that scare the living daylights out of me. The first one's spiders, the second one is snakes. And when I see one, I assume it's a 50-foot poisonous viper that's going to wipe me out just by staring me down. My immediate gut reaction is to just torch the place. Why? Because I really don't know anything about them, so I assume the worst. I believe the same thing is true in the lack of our understanding of what a brand really is and what makes us uncomfortable about using that in the same sentence as a church. So, what is a brand? Or maybe the best place to start is, what is a brand not? And for clarification, a brand is not a logo, it's not a business, it's not a trademark, a brand's not a famous personality, it's not a website, it's not even a product or a service. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what is a brand? The best definition of a brand that I've ever heard is from Martin Neumeier's book, The Brand Gap, which states, a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. So let me repeat that and change a word. A brand is a person's gut feeling about your church. So what goes into creating a person's gut feeling about your church? Let me share a story of one of my favorite brands. My gut feeling is off the charts for this one. It's Toyota. Why? 3 reasons. When I was a kid growing up, my dad bought this little tiny Toyota pickup truck. He had had it forever, and that thing practically rusted out from underneath him. He drove it for nearly 400,000 miles with next to no problems. As I grew up, we had other cars. They went to the shop. They had problems, but his Toyota pickup never did. My wife and I purchased a Toyota a number of years ago, and one day she was stopped in traffic and an F-350 plowed into her car going over 50 miles per hour. And while her journey recovering from a traumatic brain injury is a testimony that we'll save for another day, she survived a horrendous crash. If she had been driving her other car at the time, I don't know if she'd be here today. We have a second Toyota sitting in our garage. It has nearly 200,000 miles on it, and we haven't had the first problem with it. So based on these 3 stories, what words would you use, or what words would I use to describe what my experience has been with Toyota? And I can boil it down to 5. Safe, reliable, durable, well-engineered, built to last. At the end of the day, these things matter to me, and they shape my overly positive gut feeling about Toyota's brand. So let's unpack that a bit. What are the key ingredients for creating a brand? 1, consistent action that fills a specific need over time. 2, consistent recognition that that action came from your organization or church. So, what do you think my gut feeling would have been if I had a Toyota that lasted for a long time, and then I purchased another one that was continually in for repairs? How do you think that would shape my perception of reliable, durable, well-engineered? Probably wouldn't in a very positive way. If I never saw the logo on my dad's truck, would my 15 years of experience wouldn't factor into any of my gut feeling? Not one bit. Time is an important factor. My gut feelings weren't formed overnight. They go back over 30 years to that first ride in my dad's pickup truck. It takes time, sometimes decades, but it's an investment that's worth it. Here are a few questions for you to ponder. Does your church have a consistent outreach that fills a specific need? This could be a million different things. Some examples that I've seen are food banks, health ministry, serving homeless in the community, personal finance education, specific helpful single mothers. There is really no limit in the world that our community is suffering from. We just need to focus on filling one of them that matters to your church and your community. And the second thing that I'll say is, does your community know that your church is behind that initiative? I see a lot of gaps there. What is your community's gut feeling about your church? If you ask your members to write down 5 words they would use to describe your church, what would they be? If you asked 100 community members what words they would use to describe your church, what would they be? Would you like the answers? Would those answers align with who you are? You may be surprised. I encourage you to find out. In later posts, we'll discuss ways to build and reinforce your community's gut feelings about your church. Make sure you don't miss those future updates by subscribing. And if we can be of help, we'd love to work directly with your church. Just contact us and let's have a conversation. Until next time, this is Chris Dellen with Rethinking Evangelism.